leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq. He died last night due to complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease, according to a statement from family spokesman Jeremy Adler. Today is the nation's first major election day since President Trump returned to the White House. Virginia and New Jersey are the only states electing governors this year. In New York City, state legislator Zoran Mamdani, who identifies as a Democratic Socialist, is running for mayor. Trump has endorsed his opponent, former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Meanwhile, the government shutdown is entering its 35th day, and there appears to be little progress towards ending it. AP correspondent Ben Thomas has more.
Millions stand to lose food aid benefits. Healthcare subsidies are set to expire, and there are few real talks over ending the government shutdown.
It's wrong to adopt a position in which they will not even get funded in November after the courts have said fund it.
Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley, after the Trump administration said the emergency fund it's using for the SNAP food aid program will only cover about half the normal benefits.
There is enormous damage that is done when children are deprived of food, to their health, to their mental development, to their physical development, to their ability to learn in school.
Democrats knew their actions threatened food assistance. They were fully aware of it.
Senator John Barrasso is the Republican whip.
Want to end the food assistance cliff? It's easy. Pass the clean bipartisan continuing resolution. Democrats should vote for it immediately. Until then, Mr. President, the Schumer shutdown is going to continue to hurt struggling families.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
The UN's World Food Program is warning of a marathon recovery for Caribbean nations following Hurricane Melissa. This is AP News. Climbers who were caught up in a snowstorm have been rescued.
Rescuers in Nepal are digging through ice and snow on Mount Yalong-ri to recover the bodies of climbers killed by an avalanche. The avalanche hit the base camp on Monday morning, but snowstorms have delayed rescue efforts. Better weather conditions have now allowed a helicopter to reach the site. 4 injured climbers have been flown to Kathmandu for treatment. The Nepal armed police have been rescuing trekkers from Mount Annapurna base camp. In a police handout, one officer says, "We're sending the people downhill, digging up a track on the snow. Because of a small river, it has made our job a little easier to find the route back." October is a popular trekking season for thousands of hikers on Nepal's mountain trails because of the usually favourable weather conditions after the monsoon rainy season and before the cold winter months. I'm Charles Tilatesma.
And I'm Marcia.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high in the lower 60s. Southwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies developing, a low around 52. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high around 60 degrees. And Thursday, plenty of blue skies and sun, high around 57. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 41.
Plug into powerful savings on rough electrical products at Menards. Zero Wire is American-owned and a leading manufacturer of building wire for residential, commercial, and industrial applications. Save time with Menards' convenient pre-cut lengths of wire and cable in stock and ready to take home today. Hurry into Menards and save big on Zero Wire products. Plus, you can visit Menards.com and check out all of our other great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives. Chins up and shoulders back. It's time to fight, and welcome to the November 4th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, heartlandsignal.com, and YouTube. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com and follow me on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Substack, and Threads. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And there you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, the short ones and the long ones, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to check out what's happening there. Like the article, the post that we have on the Ohio State representative who says that the Republicans in the state are fine with giving $600 million to the Cleveland Browns owners, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, for a new stadium, but they balk at using the rainy day fund to help Ohioans who are at risk of losing their SNAP benefits. And then in Oklahoma, the Democratic House leader, Cindy Munson, calls out Governor Kevin Stitt, a Republican, and the state Republicans for refusing to use the state's rainy day fund for Oklahomans at risk of losing SNAP benefits. So that's what you got to do. A lot of our state people are speaking up with regard to what governors in red states are not doing to help with citizens of the state that voted for them. There you go. Let's just look at that. So make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to check out some of the articles and posts that we have there that I know you guys will appreciate. Heartland Signal does great work, and it's always nice to have them providing you guys with additional information on what's happening. On today's show, and I will keep things moving along this morning, we will have with us Illinois State Senator Willie Preston. We'll be talking with us in the 6:30 hour. And then Wisconsin candidate for Governor Francesca Hong will be with us at 7. And then our very own Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be with us in the 7:30 hour. So looking forward to having each of them with us. As we said, you guys know this is kind of our candidates week, trying to talk to as many candidates that are running for office, whether they're running right now in an election today. Most of them are not. They're running for elections in the next year and in what would be considered our national midterm period of time. But we want to get on as many people as we can this week to chat with them about what's important to them, like yesterday when we had with us Congresswoman Robin Kelly. So, yeah, we've got the three of them with us today. State Senator Willie Preston, Wisconsin State Representative who's running for governor, Francesca Hong, and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, who you all know is running for U.S. Senate seat here in Illinois, that being the one being vacated by Dick Durbin, or not running again, I should say. So there you go. That's what's happening in our world today. But right now, as we're talking about all that's happening with SNAP and benefits and what's happening in Washington, check this out, progressives.
Been released on a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in fact, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. For weeks now, she was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And yet week after week after week have gone by, and Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run by Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
So obviously that was Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talking about the running a pedophile program. Yeah, Johnson and Trump. And as he said at the very end of that, reporting to their boss. Donald Trump is running the House of the Republicans in the House of Representatives. I have to be very clear to not say running the House of Representatives because he's not running the Democrats. But you get the point. Donald Trump is running Mike Johnson, and as Donald Trump is running Mike Johnson is running the Republicans in the House, and that's creating a lot of stalls across the board. So when I say it that way, obviously with not swearing in Representative Grijalva, that's one piece. But it's the other pieces. The House is providing cover for Donald Trump on a number of things. And, we can go back to the bill this summer, cover for Donald Trump. The executive orders not reining him in terms of what he's doing that's illegal or certainly pushing the legal lines, the Republicans in the House. The way in which he's using the military in any capacity, whether it be domestic or foreign or in international waters, the House of Representatives, the Republicans in the House. Same thing with this bill. They keep coming back to say the Dems need to vote for it in the Senate, but the House is really, the House had their first take on it being a bill that was going to be right for the rest of the country, for all the country. Come back to the House. It keeps circling back. Seating a duly elected representative of either party or even an independent is in the hands of the House of Representatives, which is in the hands of the Speaker of the House. Not doing it. So all this comes back to Mike Johnson's lap. It's at his doorstep. This is not what's happening with her being Ms. Grijalva being sworn in and seated. That's at Mike Johnson. And so America, like Congresswoman Kelly said yesterday, remember to understand the importance in terms of civics. When I talked to Dana Goldberg last week, we talked about understanding how things work is critically important. And a lot of Americans don't. They think that they do. And unfortunately, they get too much of their, I won't even call it information, but they get too much of their dialogue and conversation, misinformation from Fox. And that leads to people acting in a way that's kind of stupid or not having the guts to call out the things that need to be called out. That's where we are. Republican voters, this is now on you. We've had enough time. We've been through, 9.5, 10 months now, coming up on a year from the election, and in January it'll be a full year. This is on Republican voters. This is, Democratic voters, we still have to do our part. We've got to show up, and we need to show up in bigger numbers. No question about that. Our voter registration needs to be amped up, ramped up, and taken through the ceiling. There's no question about that. That's our own mess to clean up. However, that in terms of the making changes right now, that's on the Republican voters. Promise me, we all know this. This is the common sense thing. Republicans in the House are not showing up at town halls or having them in the ways in which they would have had them if they were in a different situation, because they know that the folks that are voting in their district and even in neighboring districts that are showing up are giving them hell. So that goes to show, so it's not somebody's opinion, but it's somewhat evidence-based, that the voters in those districts are not happy, but they have to be a little bit more unhappy to get some stuff done. More Republican voters, more people who voted for Republicans. Let me put it that way, because some Democrats voted for Republicans, even in House and Senate seats on the federal level, yet alone the White House, need to look at this and say, this has got to change, and we are the ones that can change the direction of this ship. Look at the numbers of the protest. The protests showed that more people coming out, more people protesting, puts us in a better position to have our voices be heard. Each person that I've interviewed over the past few weeks, since we had the most recent protest, has said the same thing. And we go back to the summer, same thing. So, yes, we've got issues with regard to what the Democrats can be doing differently. We say it all the time. We're going to say it some more. And, not but. And we will get those things done. I'm going to do my part. The but part, though, is this is in Mike Johnson's lap. This pain starts, this situation with Epstein and all the rest ultimately flows through Johnson. and Trump's running him. Got him fully pimped out. That being said, let's take a break. Number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. This is the center of the universe. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. After working several odd jobs in New York City, Henry Johnson found his way into the National Guard during World War I. Johnson was assigned to the 369th Infantry Regiment, but the all-black unit was better known as the Harlem Hellfighters. The Hellfighters' first task was assisting the French Fourth Army. On May 15, 1918, Hellfighter Johnson noticed Germans attempting to break in. Johnson retreated to get backup from the French troops, noticing German soldiers were attempting to kidnap another Hellfighter. Despite standing at only 5'4", Johnson sprung into action. With only 3 bullets and a bolo knife, Johnson was able to kill 4 enemy soldiers and wounded 21 others, causing them to retreat, saving himself and his men. However, Johnson received a total of 21 injuries all over his body, including his left foot being shattered. Johnson was discharged, and his papers did not show his heroism or his injury, leaving him unable to receive any disability compensation, leaving Johnson penniless at the time of his death at age 36. Johnson's heroism went unnoticed for decades until President Barack Obama awarded him the Medal of Honor in 2015.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Let's bring you a couple of Choose Views news items on this November 4th, 2025. Accelerating layoffs suggest low hire, low fire is over. Stagnant job market had featured one saving grace, low layoffs. But those days appear over as more companies make cuts, according to Bloomberg. Some economists see warning signs. Starbucks, 900 layoffs, Paramount, 1,000, Target, 1,800, and Amazon, 14,000. These have slashed headcounts partially on advances in AI. One outplacement firm counts 950,000 layoffs through September, which is higher than every full non-pandemic year since 2009. Who's the president? We're not just in a low hire, low fire environment, one economist said. We're just firing. So there you go. With high home prices, more buyers are turning to ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, in case you didn't know. Buying a home is about as expensive as it's ever been. Hoping to make it more affordable, some buyers are taking a chance on adjustable rate mortgages, which are generally considered riskier than their fixed rate counterparts. ARMs offer cheaper interest rates up front, but those rates can change after a certain number of years, driving up borrowers' monthly payments. The number of purchase mortgage applications for ARMs more than tripled between early 2021, when rates were extremely low, to the beginning of this month, the beginning of last month of October. Kimberly-Clark does buy Tylenol maker in a $48.7 billion deal. It's agreed to buy Kenvue, the maker of Tylenol, in a transaction valuing the latter company at about $40 billion. The cash and stock deal has an enterprise value of about $48.7 billion. And will create one of the country's biggest consumer health goods companies. Kenvue has struggled since spinning off from Johnson & Johnson about 2 years ago. The company booted its CEO just this past July and is also facing a lawsuit over Tylenol's alleged links to autism. RFK Jr., I should say, probably has his hands in that in some way. A little speculation there. All right. Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile hits a record $381 billion, not $38.1 billion, $381 billion. Berkshire Hathaway reported a sharp rise in quarterly earnings over the weekend as the conglomerate's cash pile reached a record $381 billion. A surge in insurance underwriting income, which rose to $2.37 billion, drove the gains. Warren Buffett, Berkshire's 95-year-old CEO, announced earlier this year he will be stepping down at the end of 2025 after, get this, 6 decades. 6 decades at the company's helm. On a couple of more Choose Views news items, and this is the big one. These are the numbers to watch this week. Even with the government shutdown set to enter its 6th week. Can you believe that? 6 weeks. The focus will be on the labor market. While the U.S. Department of Labor isn't expected to publish its employment report for October this Friday, ADP payrolls data is scheduled for release along with estimates of new jobless claims by commercial banks. A drastic slowdown in hiring amid economic uncertainty at the onset of artificial intelligence has continued to preoccupy the Federal Reserve, which last week, as we know, cut interest rates for a second straight time to support employment. The upcoming releases that are to be included tomorrow, Wednesday, November 5th, payroll processor ADP will release its October employment report, and the Institute for Supply Management will release its monthly Purchasing Managers Index, which tracks if non-manufacturing sector is expanding and if that indicator has always been one for the economic health of the country. And then on Friday, the University of Michigan will release its preliminary reading of November's Consumer Sentiment Index, which measures how Americans feel about current and future economic conditions. So there you go, guys. A couple of items from Choose Views News on this November 4th, 2025. All right. Couple of other things I think you guys should be mindful of, and then we're going to play you a quick clip that's got some substance to it. I want you to hear. Trump administration is going to partially fund November SNAP benefits, and in the conversation around it, officials will use $4.65 billion from the USDA's contingency fund to support roughly half of the SNAP program participants in the program, I should say. No medals for what they should be doing anyhow. No praises to Donald Trump for this. This is something that should have been done. People have been hurting, and once this snowball gets headed downhill, it's hard to stop. So we shouldn't have gotten to this point in the first place. But the move comes. After the federal government a federal court, I should say, ordered the USDA to use emergency money in the nation's largest food aid program. So let's see where we go with that. I'll keep you posted as we get more information. Dick Cheney died. One of the most influential in the negative sense, in my opinion, but also most polarizing vice presidents in my lifetime. I won't say ever, but certainly in my lifetime. His influence on George Bush, too. Many say not only took us to war, but kept us in war longer than we needed to be. But more importantly for me, it was the huge amount of influence that he had on what he thought that the president should be able to do and that what Congress should not be able to prevent a president from doing. Part of why we have what Donald Trump, what Stephen Miller, what Steve Bannon, what many of the folks in the administration want to believe is a unitary executive theory being pushed on so hard in these executive orders, and Trump meddling in so many areas that the Justice Department, really, in my lifetime, there's been no vice president that pushed that harder than Dick Cheney as a vice president. So when you want to kind of figure out or ask yourself the question how we got to this point. Devin and I were talking about some things before we came on the air about Reagan's influence on a lot of political change, and how Barack Obama once said that Ronald Reagan changed the arc of politics in America probably more than any modern day president because of the ways in which he started cutting certain programs. Got to go back sometimes and do a little bit of history. Devin was humble enough to say he went back and reviewed some things, but we all have to do that every now and again to understand how we got to a certain place. And Dick Cheney, definitely one of the people that got us to where we have a presidency that feels as though they have the ultimate power in all branches of government. And just look it up. Just go back and see where he sat in that conversation. But in any case, that's the political side of this. He's passed away, and I know that his family, Lynn, his wife for 61 years, is grieving in that, or maybe she's not. Who knows? And the children. But there you go. Dick Cheney has passed away, and if you want to ask the question how we got here in many ways with this current presidency, you could find a lot of connecting dots. to Dick Cheney to answer that question. Chicago, Cook County, the state of Illinois, we've got strong union leadership here. We've got strong union players. We got people who speak out about what's really happening on the ground and what they really see that how this administration is impacting folks when it comes to ICE and what ICE is doing in the Chicagoland area and the state of Illinois. So we have a clip that I want you guys to hear that comes from a union strong member right here in the Chicagoland area speaking to this concern.
Chicago isn't playing around. We've been around standing up to government since the 1800s. If Donald Trump thinks that he could come in here and send his police force to hold us down, he's wrong. The whistles are everywhere. The bikes, the alerts, the food pantries. This is what we do. The best thing we do in Chicago is organize. So good luck. You couldn't organize a sock drawer compared to the organizers in the labor community here. In my local, we're right by the Broadview ICE facility. As a labor activist, as a member of a union, I know where I'm standing, and I'm glad that my union is able to be there. The rich and the ruling class here, the haves, they did a really good job to get elected on the fear-mongering of what immigrants are, all right? I know that I have way more in common with a person who walked 9 countries for an opportunity, or somebody who grew up in Mexico and crossed an imaginary line. They're the ones that are getting exploited. We work a hard job, right? Come in here, work a hard job. We're building a casino. This is going to rake in a ton of money for a bunch of rich people. I couldn't imagine the fear of thinking leaving here and I might not see my family again. These ICE raids, look, I've seen the videos and I've talked to my kids about it. When my 13-year-old daughter says, that looks like kidnapping, yeah, it does. It sure feels like it. I'm proud because Ironworkers Local 63 can do what labor unions are doing here in Chicago, and more people are going to do is stand up to the attacking of the working people. I use the PACE bus and the CTA to get here to work. If they cut 40% because they don't have the money, services, my life directly is affected. There's whispers around the city of Chicago talking about the general strike. I imagine a lot of people think a general strike would just be unions. But yeah, here in 1886, the American labor movement started because they said, we got to stand out here and we got to go on strike for this 8-hour workday. And they rallied around something that all workers understood, that everybody was working too much. We want more schools and less jails. We want more justice and less revenge. We want more leisure and less greed. Like, who doesn't want those kind of things? That's who we are as workers, whether you're in a union or not. Like, everybody would want those things. The one thing that they showed by getting the 8-hour workday is that they put down their tools and they withheld the production, because the coal doesn't mean until a worker goes down there and digs it up, right? The real power starts with people on the street. The real power starts with the people that clock in every day, carry their lunchbox in. When they put their stuff down and they say enough's enough, that's when real change has happened in the past, and it needs to happen again.
I came across this clip and I was like, you know what? It was put together, edited, and we got some different pieces in that from our local union folks. If you guys want this, wherever you are in the country, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just email me, of course, at richard@wcpt820.com. What he says is clearly where we are, particularly toward the end, about we coming together. Every day in some way or another, you're going to hear me talk about this because that is what this administration is trying to do or not have happen, and that's to come together. Even Mike Johnson blocking or not swearing in and seating Ms. Grijalva is about keeping things separate. It's about trying to divide us. It's about trying to get people in her district to think, well, maybe she's not doing the job we voted for. That's also part of this. So, coming together. When I come across things that speak to that, that empower us, I'm going to do my best to get them to you guys. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM, Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
TikTok draws people in with an algorithm that serves up an endless stream of hyper-personalized content. Professor Meredith David from Baylor University says TikTok addiction is a genuine concern.
There have been many studies which have studied TikTok addiction among individuals of varying ages, and the majority of them do suggest that TikTok is addicting.
But there are warning signs.
If we find we're spending more and more time on the platform, and if we look down at the clock, we realize, wow, we're actually spending more time than we realize when we're on those platforms.
And Dr. David's advice for parents?
I would limit the time that can be spent on TikTok and on social media in general. I would also limit the instances in which the phone is allowed to be used. For example, at a dinner table, there's no reason for us to have a phone.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high in the lower 60s. Southwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies developing, a low around 52. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high around 60 degrees. And Thursday, plenty of blue skies and sun, high around 57. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 41.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. As you know, it's Candidates Week, and we're trying to interview as many candidates this week as we can that are running for offices here in the state and in states nearby here in the Midwest, and, of course, on a federal level. So we want to do our best to amplify the voices of people that want to continue to be in leadership roles, maybe change the office that they're holding, but at the end of the day, provide us with good leadership. Rising from a janitor, butcher, and carpenter to lawmaker, now congressional candidate, and has been that lived experience that we all know and appreciate when it comes to trusting people to do the work. A lot of times it takes somebody that comes right from the neighborhood, someone that's from around the way, that is somebody that you'll see putting air in their tire on a Saturday morning as they're dropping the kids off at soccer practice. And that's who our state senator, Willie Preston, is. He's a man who has definitely been in the mix for a while, but he's also someone that's just been a regular. When I say regular dude, I don't ever want anybody to take that the wrong way. But Senator Preston, good morning and welcome to Choose Views on WCPT on this Tuesday morning.
No, thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me. And I will tell you, I'm a little concerned, and you must be following me around because I certainly need air in my front tire. And my wife has scolded me about it for like a week. I'm going to take care of it today.
See, listen, so two dudes that are just regular dudes. Let me tell you the air in the tire story. Your wife and my wife would have a ball laughing at the two of us, but for opposite reasons, though. Because I'm the dude that sits at the stoplight and will roll the window down and toot the horn to the car next to us, and I'll say, they'll think I'm crazy. Who is this guy? What is he doing? Trying to get my attention. I'm busy looking at my phone while I'm driving. But I have done that more times, Senator, than I can count, where I've rolled the window down and I pointed at the tire and they're like, oh, thank you so much. So if I see you rolling down the boulevard and I roll the window down and you go, that's Chew. What does he want?
We all have to play our part to be good neighbors, and I appreciate that. So,
Absolutely. Senator Preston, it's great to have you on this morning. A lot is happening in our city, in our state, in our country, in our world, for that matter. But you've made the decision that you're going to stay in the game and elevate as best possible to this next level in terms of running for U.S. Congress in the 2nd Congressional District here in Illinois, the one that's going to be vacated by Congresswoman Robin Kelly, who we had on yesterday. So it's great to see this leadership moving and everybody's, I won't call it swapping around, but you're saying, okay, chess piece moves. If she goes on and does this, then I'm going to fill in the spot here. And so here's the question. First of all, let's help our listeners understand what your current Senate, for lack of better words, what your area is, what your, help the listeners understand where you really kind of make your bones in the state of Illinois. And then we'll talk about the 2nd Congressional District and a couple questions I want to ask you. Does that sound okay?
Okay, sounds great. Thanks. Thanks for having me on. Before I just want to, if it's okay, I want to recognize that former Vice President Dick Cheney has died.
Right.
And want to just wish him and his family obviously my sincere condolences. And the ironic thing about that is I grew up with a vehement disdain for Dick Cheney, and he would probably be a progressive. He'd probably be a progressive today, because in Donald Trump's MAGA party, Dick Cheney wouldn't qualify as a Republican, and that just demonstrates why we don't need to send just a politician to replace Congresswoman Kelly, who I think did a remarkable job as a congressperson. We need to send a fighter, and that's no one in this race is a fighter like me. And I just thought we should lift that up in the beginning. But look, I currently represent what is a mini 2nd Congressional District already. I have south side of Chicago, I have southwest side suburbs, and I have a little piece of rural. That's what the 2nd Congressional is. I call the 2nd Congressional the most American district in America, and it's because it encompasses everything that America is. Again, big city, south side of Chicago, suburban, the Southland, and rural. There are 450 farms inside the 2nd Congressional District. And so when you think about what this district is and its makeup, you can travel the United States by traveling the 2nd Congressional District. And I think what these people are looking for, what our people are looking for, is a different type of campaign, a different type of person to represent them in Washington. And I am the most distinguished person in this race. Like you said, I didn't come from politics. I didn't come from a famous name. I didn't come from a political backing. I ran independently. When I announced that I was running for the Senate, I had to use earplugs because everybody laughed so loud. But we kept working. We kept talking to people. We kept going around. We showed up. And you know what? I did this crazy thing. I listened to what regular people told me to do, and that became the platform. I'm doing that right now. Mm-hmm. When I've walked around, I've driven all around the 2nd Congressional District. I've talked to farmers. I've talked to people in the southern part of the district. That's what actually kicked my campaign off, in Vermilion County. And I'm from Chicago on the south side, but my campaign launched in Vermilion County in the southern part of the district, and we worked our way all the way back to home base. And I can tell you, while sometimes I'm not always popular with the political leadership, but when it comes to the people that I would represent, I am getting an A+, because regular people are sick and we're tired of just the same old, and we're not getting much for it.
Yeah, and you've been really strong in that space, and kind of leads to one of the things that you said leads me back to a question about the diversity and the representation of America in the, Illinois 16th district, which is the smaller version to the Illinois 2nd Congressional District. Very, very good assessment. And I think right now, when we look at candidates that are running, that are listening to the constituents, they're faring very well across the country, whether it be here in Illinois, mm-hmm. whether it be in any other state and or in any other city. I look at Mayor Ewing in Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. He said he listened to the people there, and by doing that, he was able to pull the voters from a long-standing Republican white woman that, by all measure, was a hands-on favorite to win, and he won that race. So I think that component of your candidacy is going to fare well in these next months in terms of building a broader base of people. So it's good to hear you've recognized that, because I think that more and more people are asking our folks that are running to represent all of us. At least I hope that's the sense that I'm getting. And are you really feeling that that's what's out there?
You're spot on. And I think that's what is propelling my campaign. It's not being propelled by, Democratic donors who are saying, okay, it's your turn. And it is a hunger for honesty again. It's a hunger. It's a desperateness from people to just finally have someone that's willing to fight. That's not so much worried about their career as they are about the people. We just left veto session, and I took some votes that were not in lockstep with my party. And listen, I'm a very proud Democrat. I believe our party is really responsible right now for saving the planet, because we have the other side, the Republicans, are people that are willing to play Hunger Games, essentially, with the American people and starve us out and negotiation so you can take away our health care, right? People, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I'll talk, for instance, about it. We passed an energy omnibus bill. I voted no against that bill not because I don't believe in battery storage and the emerging technologies, because I do. I believe we need clean energy. We need to create more capacity as we bring these data centers online. However, the same old way of doing things must end. So what am I talking about? We are going to finance Jupiter Electric, who is really a subsidiary of BlackRock, a super billion multinational corporation. We're going to give them corporate welfare, guaranteeing them 20-year contracts. I simply said, okay, they should take out a loan to be able to, to develop their projects. And I offered a provision to give them a loan by way of the Illinois Finance Authority, the IFA, a low-interest loan. They didn't want that. They wanted it for free. And so I voted no. It passed. But you're going to see on your utility bill, Richard, a line item that says something to the effect of battery storage. But you can't afford that. Maybe you can, Richard, but I can't afford that. I got 6 kids. My wife, I'm a regular guy. My wife is getting our children ready right now. She's in there screaming as quietly as she can because she knows I'm on an interview. But she's like, we have to get our kids to school. When she leaves, we got to check the gas. I did put gas in last night, so she's not going to be able to scold me for that. But, we have real issues of affordability. And so when it comes to fighting, when it comes to standing up for regular working class people who are already, they've been taken out in terms of their finances, I'm going to fight for them. I'm not going to be in lockstep. But the Democratic Party right now is we're right on all the issues, but on these few issues, particularly affordability, we have to get right back in line with the regular American. And that's what I believe I offer more so than anybody in this race.
I think
nobody in this race has been a carpenter. Nobody in this race has been a janitor. That's been me. I worked at Home Depot overnight. I've been a butcher. I've been on SNAP benefits before, which is why I was so ready to respond to this man-made hunger crisis that the president was putting forth. And while we had hundreds of people in Dalton, Illinois the other day when we delivered fresh groceries to, because we recognize that type of, I don't know the best way to characterize it, but that little pause in food benefits via the SNAP program, it could be like, it will cause starvation to people because they simply don't have it.
Yeah, and that's so well put and maybe difficult to say or hard to say, but needs to be said. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking to Illinois State Senator who is just really making it plain to us this morning. Illinois State Senator Willie Preston. Senator Preston, one of the big things that people talk about, or that I get information from folks on, is just what you said about Democrats need to make sure that they're talking to everyday regular folks. And when I hear that from listeners, and when I get text messages and emails from people about, please remind any elected official that you talk to keep talking to us in a regular, everyday manner. I think that is also part of it. It's just it's letting people know we get it, and I've encouraged, whether it's a federal congressional leader or a state person or the mayor, or we'll be talking to the lieutenant governor later in the show today, is just to keep talking to regular, everyday folk and making sure that they know that you're listening. And you seem to definitely be capturing that. And I want to go back to what you were talking about with this energy bill situation. Yeah, I mean, make them pay first, not us. You know, the companies they pay first, not us. I mean, we know the bill passed in the way in which it did, but the position that you took, I understand that vote, that no vote on yours, but you had a no vote, but a suggestion to still get the job done, but do it a different way when it comes to the money out of the pockets of people in the state of Illinois. So I appreciate you for standing on business when it comes to that.
Well, thank you.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, and you've been very vocal about this, and that, as it relates to this, you know, obviously the political climate that we're in right now, and the changing in congressional districts. We know that the federal problem, the White House has created a national problem by trying to gather congressional seats on a federal level. We saw what Trump did down in Texas with Greg Abbott, and we see the responses from some of the Democratic governors throughout the country. But we're also looking at what is happening here in the state of Illinois when it comes to this gerrymandering and congressional seats. So talk a little bit about that and your observations in that space.
Yeah, look, I think it's pretty clear that Donald Trump wants to cheat midway of the game, because historically the party in power tends to lose in the off cycle. And so he's going around to Republican states where people see him, the leadership there sees him as their king. He's going to the old Dixie to take seats from Democrats and gerrymander them. And so, I was proud to help organize a meeting with Leader Hakeem Jeffries when he came here to Chicago, and we had a discussion about potentially gerrymandering our maps to combat that. Now, again, it's important for, I think, your listeners to know that we have 17 congressmen currently in the state of Illinois. We have 14 Democrats, 3 Republicans. I think the attempt to get another Democratic seat is something that we should examine, because we have to fight fire with fire. Mm-hmm. However, if we're going to do that, it cannot be at the expense of the black vote. And what I mean by that, if we're going to, redraw the maps, but we're going to dilute a little bit of black vote from the 1st congressional district, a little bit of black vote from the 2nd congressional, and a little bit of black from the 7th congressional district, which are traditionally black districts, then that's something I can't support. Look, the Voting Rights Act is the crown jewel of the civil rights movement. It has been under attack for decades. It is under extreme attack right now, Louisiana versus Callis, at the Supreme Court level, where that alone threatens to gut the heart of the Civil Rights Act, and it could decimate black representation throughout the nation. What I did not say then, and I'm prepared to say now, Richard, is that I had been getting calls from state representatives, state senators throughout the nation that are black state representatives and black state senators, particularly in the South. And they were appealing to me when they get the national news. And I'm talking about folks in South Carolina, Louisiana. They told me, hold the line, Senator. They feel we're getting wiped out down here from not just the congressional seats, but also state senators and state reps. But they said, we're going to need a congressman to speak for us because we're not going to have any black representation in the South anymore. And so for me, you know, my values won't allow me to just get in line, because if we dilute black representation here in Illinois, we will voluntarily give up the hard-fought gains of our ancestors, people like the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who fought hard for these gains. And I just cannot, on my watch, voluntarily give that up. I believe we should be increasing our power, because when you increase black representation, you see economics of our communities be lifted up, and you see a reduction of all of the things that we want to see reduced, such as violence. So, you know, I think that's just another example where you will not see another candidate willing to hold the line and to take a position that is different from the party leadership. Look, I think I love our party. I think we're strong. I think we are right on almost all the issues, but we cannot bend the knee every time. We have to stand for something, and that's something that I'm just going to always fight for. To me, that's political malfeasance, to put it diplomatically.
Well, listen, Senator, there's a couple things that go through my brain. We want to win right now. We have to win. To hear that Southern Democrats, Black Democrats, seemingly specifically, are reaching out to you to say, State Senator, we need you to hold the line, says a lot about where we are when it comes to national. I've been saying for going on 2 years now, since the show started in February of 2024, that we have to win on all fronts, state, local, state, and federal. And the way we do that is by expanding our power, by expanding voter registration, by expanding state legislatures. We have to keep state legislatures strong. The more we have that, the more we're able to affect this conversation around redistricting. So I'm with you in terms of we have to win and we can't bend the knee. And I know that it's a touchy subject inside the Democratic Party on a state level and on a federal level, but we have to win and we have to protect the upcoming midterm elections, which you're going to be a part of, given that you're running for this congressional seat. So I hear where you're coming from. And
Richard, I will say one of the most important things we can do. Democrats have an incredible opportunity to wipe this MAGA nightmare out. We have to elect. We used to elect people like me, working class people that spoke plainly to folks who lived like the people that they represented. And so that is the way you do it. You send people like me to Congress to fight Republicans. I think my candidacy represents something profound in the nation right now. The question is, do you have to be a party darling, someone that is picked, who regurgitates the talking points that are given to them before every interview? Or do you have to be the son of a civil rights icon, for instance? Or can you be the son of a painter? Can you be a regular family man, a husband who has been faithful to his wife and in his children's life? Can you be the guy that's a block club president that helped all of your senior citizens before going to politics? And if we can elect people like that, I think we wipe this MAGA nightmare out, because people want to see someone that's like them representing them. All the data, all the polling shows that. I have to get this in because I'll get killed if I don't. Please, electpreston.com, electpreston.com, electpreston.com.
I'm glad.
Sorry, Richard, they'll kill me if I don't say it.
No. Senator, listen, man. The thing I will say, and you and I both have big smiles on our faces, and that is we're smart guys. We're educated guys. We've been around the block. Yeah. We know what time of day it is. And I think that one of the most beautiful things that we can do is be unapologetic about what we believe in for the people that we represent. And that means the people of all communities. I mean, you said it at the beginning of this segment. You represent a nice overlay of a current Senate district, and you will in terms of if you were to be elected to Congress, And that's, I think, more and more people need to see that that's what's happening with our representatives. And so, yeah, you get to, the reason I'm doing this week is to give as much voice as I can to as many people that are running, because at the end of the day, I'm not picking favorites. What I'm picking is Democrats to go in and win. And so if that Democrat is, do you know what I mean? I'm not picking, I have people that I may have spent more time with or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I want us to win. I want us to take back the levers of power, because here's what happens when we do this. A former Republican now running for governor in Florida, who's become a Democrat, and he's the real deal, is David Jolly. And I know you know that name. David Jolly said right after the election, he said, we did not lose this national election because our ideas are not better. Our ideas are better. Democrats' ideas are better. And that's where I stand. Our ideas, our people are better. And you seem to represent that. And so my encouraging words to you are to continue to be that way. And the only time you bend a knee is to bend down to pick up one of your children and lift them up to show them the greatness that's out there in this country that their father's providing for them. So that's the only time you get to bend a knee is when you're picking up one of those wonderful children of yours. And I appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning. One more time, how can folks get involved, say what they got to say, let you know what they need? How can folks find you, sir?
Well, Richard, thank you again for having me. electpreston.com. That is our website. That's a great way for folks to reach me. I'm pretty active on social media, on Facebook. I do now have a Twitter, so I'm not in the I'm not left in the dust with that. And at Instagram, it's electpreston.com. Everything. So Preston for U.S. Rep.
Cool. Very good. Great to have you with us, Senator Willie Preston.
Instagram. I'm sorry. It's Preston for U.S. Rep. Richard, thank you again so much. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely, Senator. Have a great day, and we'll talk with you soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye now. All right, Devin, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. With the summer finally being here and everyone going on those vacations, let's look at some hotels that support the Democratic Party. Hyatt Hotels. Now, Hyatt Hotels is owned by the Pritzker family. Why does that Pritzker name sound so familiar? Well, that's right, Governor J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois. Safe to say that Hyatt Hotels supports the Democratic Party. Choice Hotels. Now, Choice Hotels donated $1.3 million to Democrats in 2024. And if you're wondering, Choice Hotels owns Quality Inn, Sleep Inn, Okono Lodge, and Roadway Inn. Wyndham Hotels. Now, Wyndham Hotels owns Super 8, Days Inn, Aquanita, Ramada, and more. Marriott. Marriott donated $228,000 to Democrats in 2024, and Hilton Hotels donated $241,000 to Democrats in 2024. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
WCPT Replay.
We have been blessed this morning to have Texas House Representative Trey Martinez with us. This is Trey Fisher Martinez from District 116.
The one thing that we need to know and be very, very clear about is Republicans, they are not afraid to use their power. They get power, they use it. You know, oftentimes with Democrats, we have a debate between the perfect and the good, right? Right. And we have to get out of that mindset, right? I mean, for anybody in Illinois that thinks that things aren't going the right way with this leadership, come stay with me for 2 weeks. Come follow me around for 2 weeks, and let's see who got the better deal. I mean, what the country is seeing today, Texas has been experiencing for 30 years. And so, you know, let's be careful about how we define our Democratic leaders, because they are far above and beyond better than the other teams.
Keep listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. In the U.S., voters are heading to the polls in the nation's first major election day since President Trump returned to the White House. New Jersey and Virginia will be electing governors, and in New York City, a new mayor. Former Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. The hard-charging conservative became one of the most powerful and polarizing vice presidents in U.S. history, and a leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq, speaking at a 2015 ceremony to unveil a bust in his honor. The former vice president talked about how he wanted people to remember him.
Here was a believer in America, so fortunate in his life experiences, so blessed in his friends, and so grateful all his days to have served as Vice President of the United States of America.
He died last night due to complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. In Rome, a man who was extracted from a partially collapsed medieval tower died soon after his rescue.
Firefighters late on Monday finally managed to extract a worker from beneath the rubble inside a medieval tower that partially collapsed during renovation work in the heart of Italy's capital. But the joy of that rescue proved short-lived. The man didn't withstand the trauma he'd suffered and died soon after. Images broadcast on local television had shown a trio of rescuers loading the man onto a telescopic aerial ladder, then descending and wheeling him on a stretcher into an ambulance. Italy's Premier Giorgia Meloni said in a statement after midnight, "I express deep sorrow and condolences on behalf of myself and the government for the tragic loss of Octave Stroiki, the worker who was killed in the collapse of the tower in Rome." I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Wicked star Jonathan Bailey has been named People magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for 2025. The 37-year-old told the magazine, "Obviously, I'm incredibly flattered, and it's completely absurd." This is AP News. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports on gut microbiome tests.
At-home tests of the gut's microbiome are trending.
Bacterial plus additional fungi and viruses that are living in our gut.
That's Gong Fong at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai.
If there's some dramatic loss of the gut microbiome, much lower diversity, it can influence the way that we digest food. It can create some distress to our immune systems, and it can even affect the way that we have our mood and different kind of stress.
Gong says the at-home tests do a good job of telling a person about the general diversity of gut microbes in their GI tract, but
right now I would say this is much more for the curiosity of the consumers.
And doctors say the technology is getting ahead of medical knowledge.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high in the lower 60s. Southwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies developing, a low around 52. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high around 60 degrees. And Thursday, plenty of blue skies and sun, high around 57. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 41.
You want Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's gets it. We check the calendar, and Christmas is coming early. $99 is all you need to grab your favorite select 7-foot pre-lit artificial Christmas tree for the holiday season. And don't sweat what gifts to get Dad, because we've got up to 40% off select tools and accessories. That's how Lowe's celebrates Black Friday early. Selection varies by location, while supplies last.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. November 4th. Goodness gracious, Election Day in many places throughout the country, and we want to do our best to support people who are running for office. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be joined by Illinois Congresswoman, Nikki Buzinski. That's going to be a great interview. Mark Poulos, Executive Director of the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting and Associate General Counsel of Local 150 International Union Operating Engineers. Greg Hines, columnist for Chicago Crane's Business, and Illinois State's Representative Cam Buckner. Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 Central on WCPT AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And then tonight, driving it home, Patty Vasquez will talk to actress Claudia Quesada, Connor Brown, Chief Executive Officer of the Northwest Illinois Alliance of Realtors, and Daniel Tully, candidate for Congress in the 8th District of Illinois. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7, here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And tomorrow on Choose Views, my week of candidate interviews continues with Sean Harris, Democratic challenger to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Amy McGrath, candidate for U.S. Senate in Kentucky, and our good friend Kurt Mellett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be with us. And we may do a little special partnering with one of our callers, so we'll see how that plays out. But right now, our next person that's running for office currently holds office in Wisconsin. And one of my favorite pictures of this person is something that takes us all back to when we were younger. I won't say children, but when we were younger, and we had that spirit, that energy that I can do anything, and I'm gonna enjoy the good energies of my life. And that is a picture of our next guest, kind of hanging from the monkey bars, which I thought was really, really cool. And I saw this and I thought, how great it will be to have with us candidate running for Wisconsin governor, Francesca, also known as Franny Hong, from the great state of Wisconsin. Good morning, Representative. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing all right. Maintaining. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm not joking. When I saw that picture of you with kind of playing on the monkey bars, hanging, I thought that's what we want. We want the energy of our candidates to be vibrant, irrespective of their chronological age. But you were out there kind of having a fun day, and I thought that seems to represent who you are. Tell our listeners who you are, where you're running, why you're running, and what office you've been holding these last number of years.
Well, thank you. I'm State Representative Francesca Hong, and I'm running for governor. I'm a proud Madisonian, born and raised, daughter of immigrants. My parents came from Korea to this country back in the late 80s. Came up through amazing public schools here in Madison, tried out college for a bit. Honestly, I thought I was going to get to ESPN and be a sports anchor. But I fell in love with restaurants and ended up dropping out to work through many, many restaurants, work my way up to become an executive chef. And for 7 years, I had a small ramen shop in downtown Madison. Ran for office in 2020, a time of chaos and crisis. And I think folks were ready for a different type of leadership, a community organizer, small business and service industry worker, and a single mom. So for the last 5 years, I've worked in the Wisconsin State Assembly as a state rep. My agenda focus on economic justice, healthy school meals for all, paid leave for all, really focus on working class people and the needs of working class people, as opposed to fight back against a society that's meeting the needs of billionaires, oligarchs, and white supremacists.
Right now, that is such an important part of the pushback and the voices that need to be heard from folks that are running from office. It can't be overstated, Representative, that we have to push back against the push on us from the oligarchy and from this quote unquote, and I know that, you know, you like we've got nothing with people making money, having money, doing their thing at any level. But when it reaches a point that it starts to take away from other people to in some ways pay for it, i.e. the big ugly bill that was passed on a federal level, that has a trickle-down impact on regular, everyday folks. And, you've been one that's kind of been running around proverbially with umbrellas to try to protect the citizens of Wisconsin. And I applaud you for that. What are you trying to say right now to people in the state as sort of your primary message as to why you would make a great governor for the state of Wisconsin? And by the way, let me also mention, the reason that this seat is opening up is that current governor, Tony Evers, has decided to not run again. And so you and a number of other folks have stepped in and said, it's our time. But let us know, let our listeners here in Illinois and throughout the rest of the country, certainly there in Wisconsin, know why you're fighting for them.
I'm a working class person who knows that in this moment, we have to build a movement by and powered by working class people. So that means folks who know that they deserve to live in a Wisconsin where it's affordable. They can take care of themselves and the people that they love. And in order to do that, especially with the wealth disparities and, the billionaires and the oligarchs really making the money that off of, the work that we do. And so this is about freedom to do what you want with your money. This is about freedom to be able to take care of your family. And in order to do that, we need transformative policies and a vision. So it's not enough to expand Medicaid. We have to move to a single payer option and make sure everyone has cheaper, high quality health care. It's not enough to make sure that, we've got childcare for folks. It needs to be free, affordable childcare for all families. And to fully fund our public schools. The reason they've been going after our schools, and it's because public institutions, public schools are one of the last remaining democratic institutions. And so a movement requires a working class person who is relatable. And I'm not just fighting for Wisconsinites, I'm fighting alongside them, because when you've got reigning fascism and you've got people who are really struggling, I think it's important they have someone who is ready to challenge the establishment, make them a little bit more uncomfortable, and make sure the voices in power are folks who understand, are living through some of the struggles that working class people are right now.
One of the women that I had on our show here, Demi Palachuk, last week talked about in her first run for office, she didn't really, as much as she's against the inordinate amount of money in politics, she didn't really lean into that part of her election process. This time around, she has in some ways, but not, she's not taking those big corporate dollars. How are you navigating? You're an elected official, but how are you navigating that? Because you're running for statewide office now when it comes to money in politics, and knowing that just as a result of where we are, and of course the negatives parts of Citizens United, how are you navigating through that process of money in politics and running for a statewide office?
I'm not taking any corporate PAC money. I'm not taking any money from APAC. But this is a campaign that has already reached so many people across the state. We've reached over 650 volunteers within the first couple weeks of the campaign from all across Wisconsin. And these are people who may have sat out in 2024. These are folks who are deeply disengaged from politics right now. And so it's grassroots donor across the state and across the country that are paying attention, that are supporting a working class candidate. And so we've got a low donation dollar, average donation dollar amount, which I'm actually proud of, because that means we've got more individual donors than any other candidate right now. And so a grassroots power campaign led by working class people gives folks, they know that they're a part of something bigger. And our campaign is growing. We've got more folks who are excited especially when I meet them where they are and I hit rural areas. And so there are more of us working class people than the billionaires, the ultra rich, the ultra privileged. And so folks are ready to be a part of change, transformative change. And I'm excited to have the grassroots donors and run a grassroots campaign to really show folks that we can fight back against Citizens United and big money in politics.
What would you say have been your 1, 2, or 3 best forms of representation as it relates to legislation passed since you first assumed office back in 2021?
We introduced the Economic Justice Bill of Rights. It's like our New Deal 2.0. And it guarantees, it's a jobs guarantee. It's ensuring that everyone has the right to collective bargaining and a union, fully funded public schools, the right to clean air, public transportation, and self-determination regardless of documentation status. The Healthy School Meals for All bill, I've introduced it twice now to ensure that all kids, regardless of what kind of school you go to, have access to free breakfast and lunch. And then the loudmouth swearing lefty from Madison passed a bipartisan bill with Republicans to ensure that our K-12 public schools are teaching Asian American education. And so we're continuing to show what is possible, that we can make better possible coming together as working class people. It's not easy. There's a lot of skepticism, but folks are ready for a different type of representation. And whether it's because I'm Korean American or the fact that, I come from a working class background and I'm still a bartender, working multiple jobs, a renter, I think there's a relatability, and we have to bring more folks into our coalition. And I'm excited that wherever we go, there's somebody that relates to the bills that I've introduced, but also know that I'm on the radio, so I'm going to refrain from swearing, but I'm excited. We've got independents, Republicans, Democratic Socialists, Democrats showing up to our events. And there's a curiosity about someone that's different. And I think there's not enough curiosity right now in politics. And so my experience in the legislature, I've seen the inside, I've been a part of the outside, and I think now there's more people who want to participate and make sure they have a government that actually works for working class people.
You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with member of the Wisconsin State Assembly and candidate for Wisconsin Governor Francesca Hong, who likes to refer to as Franny. So I'll be respectful and go with the moniker that you like the best. Let me ask you this question. You mentioned earlier about the differences in people and having a sort of a coalition of different factions, and that something that's been stifled in recent years with politics, and that's curiosity. And we're seeing the federal government, specifically the Trump administration, trying to get rid of historical parts of the nation from different cultural communities, gender-based history, all the rest, to kind of create this very narrow version of what America should look like. White, straight, Christian male. And we can't get away from that is part of what this administration specifically is trying to do. And I love what you said about reinvigorating Asian American studies and Asian history. Me being a black dude in America, I look at it from a similar lens, which is our histories collectively as folks of color, if you will. Sometimes I hate that label, but to make this point, is American history. It's nothing. It is all of it's American history. And so to see and hear you talk about the importance of continuing to amplify that is spot on, because I think a lot of people have not been curious because we're just teaching one thing. So talk about how why that's becoming more important to you as part of your campaign and the outreach that's providing.
Well, here in Wisconsin, we actually have the third largest Hmong population in the country. And Hmong communities have been phenomenal leaders, and they're part of the fabric of Wisconsin. Folks of different ethnic backgrounds, racial backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, they provide the culture. We are what makes our communities great. And the Trump regime is trying to take that away because they know that it's what it's what gives people so much hope and makes folks feel welcome and that they can be themselves when they are surrounded by people who believe in that as well. I don't know of anyone besides white Christian nationalist white males that wants to live in a country that is that only serves them. I don't know what I would do if that's the only type. I don't even know what kind of food that is. What, meat and potatoes? I don't know what would happen if we didn't have vibrant music. What are folks going to do when there's no more K-pop, right? I truly believe that neighbors want to take care of their neighbors, but fascism aims to divide us and take away our dreams and our ability to imagine a better world. There's more of us who are willing to dig into our power and imagine a better world. We just have to make sure that we are calling out what it is, who is in power right now, and that there are more of us who share values, who want to work hard, who want to be able to do what we want with our money and we got to tax the billionaires. I mean, if we're going to have economic security and economic freedom, this isn't working to pay more, to make less, and then watch the wealthiest sit back and watch their wealth grow. Folks are pissed. And I think that when we come together and we see each other's humanity because we see that the system is rigged against all of us, we're going to reject that white Christian nationalist nation.
And we should, because our nation was, as so many people have tried to change the narrative saying that this is a Christian nation. No, it's not. And it's interesting how so many times, Representative, the people get it confused about what this country was really originally started from and about. This is not a Christian nationalist nation. This is not a Christian nation at all. Christianity is a faith that's here in the United States, but the better angels of our country show themselves when all of the religions, all the faiths, all of the levels of energy are there at the table. It just gets better. And I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my thinking has been for a long time that a big reason why we have this push, this sort of drive to have a white Christian male nationalist country is because they recognize their mediocrity. And it's heightened and further exposed when someone that's not like them shows up in any venue. It could be sports, it could be band, it could be politics, it could be business, it could be running a social organization. That when other folks show up and show how good they are, then the mediocrity of privilege gets exposed. And so the only way to fix that is to take people off the playing field, to take people off the table, so that only one group of people can be there, not getting better, just being normal and mediocre. What are your thoughts there?
Well, Richard, we're on the same level, and please call me Fran. It is when folks come from a place of fear and panic, they continue to have self-doubt in themselves. I really wish white Christian nationalists who believe that we have to be a monolith would go to therapy and recognize that you can, I like that metaphor around they want to get folks off the field. But here's the thing. You have to have a lot of players in different positions in order to win.
Yep.
And you're not going to be able to go on offense or play defense if there's no one left on the field except for,
one person that can play one position.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
trying to think of a position that's not important on a team, and that doesn't make for a team that wins. So I think it's cowardly. I mean, these folks are scared that the power of having a multi-faith, a multiracial, multi-ethnic community makes communities better and stronger. And so they want to make us weak by dividing us. That's what white supremacy does. It divides communities and different folks of color. But to reject that and to build something better requires folks who know that, and that the majority of us are folks who are unafraid to see one another and be radically welcoming. And politics got to be like that too. Our politicians and our leaders have to be crystal clear, and we can't be throwing anyone under the bus. And I'm willing to talk to whoever.
Yeah.
I don't need to demonize anyone. I'm not better than anyone else. But I think if we had more white Christian nationalists go to therapy, we might be in a different place. If we had more women of color leading, I know we'll be in a better place.
That's a great sound bite. I hope we can pull that one out and send it back to you to use in your campaign. There's a strong field of people running. Kelda Roys, Sarah Rodriguez, David Crowley, Brett Hulsey, Mandela Barnes.
Mandela has not announced yet.
He hasn't announced. Okay, then I take that. I was putting my list together, but irrespective of that, I've said this before. I want us to win. I don't want a Republican governor in the state of Wisconsin because it's our neighboring state. I'm not picking favorites. I'm just saying we want us to win. And I know that you are of the mindset, because of the things that I've read about you, that, there's other people that are in the race. And if you end up not being the one that wins the race, I know you're still going to be strong and a fighter for the things that you said you believe in, whether you're governor or you're not. And I think that's one of your superpowers right now, is that you've made it clear, I want us to win. You want to win. You want to be the next governor. But at the end of the day, you recognize that we win. It allows us to do better. And you're going to continue to push the people that do win. Speak to that a little bit as we kind of wrap up our segment today.
As goes Wisconsin, as goes the country. If we flip our state legislature and we've got a Democratic Assembly, Senate, and a proud, bold, progressive Wisconsin governor, we are going to be able to transform and improve the lives, material conditions of people's lives across this state. And those wins, when we deliver, are going to be sustained. Folks are going to continue to vote for the party that actually improved their lives. That is the most important thing for me right now, is to show the rest of the country that if Wisconsin can do this, we can start to make waves across the country. So whomever is the gubernatorial nominee for Wisconsin, we're going to ensure that the coalition that we are building, that is multi-faith, multiracial, that is powered by working class people, rural folks, urban folks, suburban folks, I'm going to bring them with me to make sure that we use our power to elect the next governor. And so that, to me, is another win, that we're going to prove that grassroots organizing and building a broad coalition and fighting with working class people, fighting for making sure that we have an affordable Wisconsin, we're going to carry that through and ensure whoever is governor has our priorities in mind, knowing that we are the powerful coalition that's going to come together to elect progressives.
Sticking to what she believes in, Franny Hong, who is a member of the Wisconsin 76th Assembly and 76th District, I should say, and also candidate for governor in the great state of Wisconsin. Franny, thank you for being with us this morning. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm glad we were able to amplify your voice. Real quick as we wrap up, how can people find you? How can people get involved in your campaign?
Thanks so much, Richard. You can join the movement at www.francescahong.com. Follow us on socials. I'm on all of them, allegedly. So at Francesca Hong, WI. It's where we really are seeing so many folks come together. So francescahong.com. Francesca Hong, WI. And thanks so much for having me on this morning, Richard.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. We will do this again. Put that on your calendar as a thing that will happen.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Thank you so much for being with us, Franny. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks. Talk soon.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Let's go to a quick break. Devin, 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Use on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
When it comes to the vitamins and supplements you take, quality counts. If you have questions or concerns about the vitamins you plan on taking, we're happy to help. Mark Drugs, better health and care for you and your pets. The most common signs you need a probiotic are if you have taken an antibiotic and need to balance out the gut bacteria, you find yourself getting constantly sick, or you feel bloated, unwell, or have skin issues. We carry high-quality probiotics at our pharmacy, such as Florastor, Floragen, and what I refer to as the silver bullet, Orthobiotic, which combines multiple strains of beneficial bacteria and friendly yeast to stimulate optimal gut flora. Get to know your pharmacist. Caring for you, your family, and your overall well-being is what our pharmacists at Mark Drugs stand for. You have a choice when it comes to your healthcare, and a great choice is Mark Drugs in Roselle and Deerfield, where you get better health and care for you and your pets. Check out markdrugs.com for the pet of the month.
WCPT replay.
I am, of course, thrilled to be joined by Simon Rosenberg. We can't in any way compromise on and sort of sugarcoat or put lipstick on the Trumpian pig on this sort of racial assault against people of lesser means and of different race. This whole notion that somehow white people in this world are somehow superior to all the other people of the world. Maybe, we could have believed that 150 or 200 years ago, but today it's an absurdity, right? And so we have an obligation. I think that we have to understand now that one of our central collective projects, Edwin, together, is to face white supremacy head on and defeat it.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high in the lower 60s. Southwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies developing, a low around 52. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high around 60 degrees. And Thursday, plenty of blue skies and sun, high around 57. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 41.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Choose Views 773-763-9278. Great to have Francesca Franny Hong on with us earlier, and of course Illinois State Senator Willie Preston talking about his run for the 2nd Congressional District. And Ms. Hong is running for governor in the state of Wisconsin. Speaking of governor, we have the lieutenant governor with us from the great state of Illinois. I don't want to not do her a solid and give her a great introduction, but she's been with us before. And she is one of the leading voices in America right now when it comes to all the things that our state's challenged with, but most certainly that the country's being challenged with. And that is no one other than Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm feeling great because I'm getting an opportunity to talk with you again. Good to see you, Rich.
You too. I'm glad you're doing well. I've been keeping my eye on all that you've had to. You're doing the thing of an elected official that's running for another office, which is the job that you were elected to and the job that you're pursuing to be elected to. And so, and in your role as Lieutenant Governor, obviously that comes with a tremendous amount of added responsibility. I'll get right to it. I know you're doing well. I've been keeping an eye, as I said, on what you've been doing and following you on social and just your interviews on other programs. But right now, I think the biggest concern from anybody in the state of Illinois, and then more broadly anybody in the country, is how we are dealing with ICE and how we're dealing with federal involvement. I'll put it that way, not just federal troops, but federal involvement. We've seen there's been a lot of pushback from Governor Pritzker, from you, from county officials, state elected officials in terms of Attorney General Raoul, and of course, Mayor Johnson. But how is this ranking up on you? What's your step back and look at the situation to draw an assessment as to where we are and where we've got to go?
Well, yes, I think it's on everyone's mind. And I think what people are seeing in a very clear way that we are all impacted. I think sometimes when the reason why the governor and I have been so vocal from day one is because we knew that this could not be something that was normalized. And we didn't want people thinking, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. That's in that community, and pointing fingers, because that's what this Trump administration does. They try to scapegoat immigrant communities, for example. They try to point the finger and point the blame. And we said from the very beginning that this was not something that we wanted to see happen here. We've been very vocal. And I think what we are seeing all across the state of Illinois and across the country, quite frankly, that people understand now how this affects each and every one of us. I continue to be outraged by what we're seeing. I mean, look at what we're seeing on a daily basis, where masked agents are, ripping our neighbors off the street. They're stuffing them into unmarked vans and holding them for days in inhumane conditions, and a real attack on our First Amendment rights. And it seems like there's no transparency. And I've always said that clearly the cruelty is the point. And look at the brutality of it, Richard. And all of this brutality, people being slammed to the ground, chokeholds, and
pepper sprayed, and
pepper sprayed, rubber bullets in the middle of a priest's head, and tear gas in the cars of journalists. Here's what I know: that we all heard President Trump say just on 60 Minutes this weekend that with all of that brutality, I still don't believe that they've gone far enough.
Yeah.
Think about that. He wants to see more. I don't know who is not horrified by what we are seeing, the attacks on the rule of law, the attacks on, just everyday, including United States citizens. So he doesn't care about fixing our broken immigration system. He just wants to, continue to participate in his abuses of power. And I just believe that, people who have been here in our communities, who have contributed to our communities for years and even decades, should not live in fear of dropping their children off to school, going to work, going to a worship service, or even, just continue to just live
going
their
to
lives.
the grocery store,
or
going to see a movie,
all of the everyday things that we all do, right?
Yeah.
So he's causing this chaos, and I've always said he wants to cause the chaos so that he can then send in the National Guard. And we've made it very clear we don't want that here.
One of the things, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I know how real of a person you are. You are very in touch with who you are, and that's, I think, one of the things that's helped you become such a great leader in the state of Illinois. But I've talked to a number of people that have said, I'm so thankful that I haven't been in a situation where I've been one to witness real time a person getting thrown to the ground and their face being dragged across the pavement, or their body, half naked body, being dragged across the pavement. To what end? Because I know that I have to pray real hard, as you and Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker have all said, to maintain ourselves, because it's very viscerally painful to watch that happening to somebody that's just trying to defend another person from being treated in a way that's immoral and also not humane. So thank you for reminding us, you and the governor and the mayor, to maintain as best we can our sensibilities when it comes to the things that we have to see. So, because, what else?
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
It is hard. And, I was out protesting at Broadview, and I saw people being picked up and slammed to the ground. And, it was later when I got home that I realized everyone that I saw being picked up and thrown to the ground by these agents, which I always say, I don't know who's behind those masks. And I don't know of any professional training that would cause someone to carry out their duties in that way. But we're seeing it every day. And I can tell you that it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing for the people who are experiencing it, and it's traumatizing for the people witnessing it, as you said. And, what I realized when I got home is it was all women that day that I was there that were thrown to the ground. So the Trump administration is going to target anyone who really refuses to bend the knee. And you saw that even people who were peacefully protesting, they're now weaponizing lawsuits in an attempt to silence brave Illinoisans who are speaking out in the midst of this cruelty. So we are not going to be bullied into submission. We've stood up to his authoritarianism before, and we are going to do it again. And I was proud to, as he kind of indicted some of those, individuals, I was proud to join over 100 leaders in condemning this political persecution last week. And again, I just say to everyone, this is the time we must all raise our voices.
We have to, and we have to do it. We have to continually do it, and we have to do it in concert. I've said this a number of times, Lieutenant Governor. At this point in my life, I and for folks like you and the governor and the mayor and many other leaders throughout the country, this is not the fight that we wanted to have, but it's the fight that we do have. And so it does require us to stand up together in concert and loudly. What were your thoughts of the protest that took place here, or took place across the country a couple of Saturdays ago? When you draw the lens back and look at that, how did that impact you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was proud to be a part of the No Kings Day protest, which I think I saw different numbers. I don't know if it was 200, I think I saw 300,000. I participated in a march in Chicago. But there were marches all over the state of Illinois, and certainly not just the country, but globally, people who were making it clear that there are no kings in America. And as I said earlier, we're not going to bend a knee to a wannabe dictator, which is what Donald Trump wants to be. So it was powerful to see so many people coming out. And I think what was really powerful was the number of people who made it clear. I have never done anything like this. But with what I am seeing, I can no longer sit on the sidelines. And I'm going to say, it wasn't a sense of judgment of like what brings somebody to get to that point. Mm-hmm. When they decided I'm going to come out and I'm going to join in this message, and we all said with one voice, no kings. What I also say, Richard, is that energy needs to continue. We have to sustain the concerted effort. And I think I like what you said, how what we do together and coming together in community, because these attacks are coming in a fast and furious way. Every single morning, you wake up and you have to check the news. What is he doing now? What are they doing now? Yeah. We're seeing this government shutdown. We're seeing people being stripped of health care, food being ripped off the tables of hungry children, the attacks by ICE agents and what they say they're going after the quote unquote worst of the worst, which is not what they are doing.
Not even close.
Not even close. To people selling tamales and as I said earlier, people living their everyday lives and contributing to our society. All of this every single day is a way to overwhelm us and get us to a place of feeling hopeless. And what I took from that gathering was it was like just an infusion of hope into many people to say, okay, I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. And now we have to keep doing the work. We have to keep doing the work, stepping up for our neighbors. And you probably know that the governor and I announced just last week, I believe, the Illinois ICE Accountability Commission, because we want people to not just know their rights, which you should know your rights, but also take videos, document what's happening, share the stories, so that there will be a time that we are going to hold them accountable for what they are doing, and we're going to have documentation of the damage and harm that was done to so many communities and Illinoisans across our state.
I was honored to be able to play a clip from the news conference when the governor announced that, and I talked about it at length about the importance of it. A lot of people might want to criticize it and say, okay, what's that going to do? Well, it's a part of the process. We are in a process right now. Where we are, excuse my language, it sucks. It just does. But for so many people in such more harsh ways. So we have to step up for everybody, and we have to document what's happening so that when that time comes and we do change these tides, that we have the ability to do something that's important to the future, which is to document it, to deal with it, and where legal remedies are required, we put those in place so that what happens, Lieutenant Governor, we don't go down this path again. And that's the reason that the accountability, in my observation, correct me if I'm wrong, is so critically important. Is because we can't do this. We can't have this moment again.
And not have it documented. I don't know if you saw the whole press conference, but in my remarks, I talked about the spirit of Ida B. Wells, who said that the way that we right wrongs is to shine the light of truth upon them. And she knew, as she was shining the light of truth on the wrongs of lynching so many years ago, decades ago, that the way to do it was to tell the truth, to tell the stories. And that is what we are doing. And of course, Ida B. Wells has deep connections to the state of Illinois.
Without a doubt. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with our very own Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton here in Illinois. And I am, as you well know, and I'm a proud Illinoisan and very proud of what our leaders are doing. Governor Pritzker, you, our AG, our comptroller, all the folks are I believe are working in a direction to make us better and strengthen our democracy by protecting it. We know that what's happening with ICE has been crazy. We know that the shutdown is, to your point, taking food out of the mouths of folks and making their everyday lives more challenging. Right now, obviously, you're running for governor. We're running for a U.S. Senator here in Illinois. And just tell us how the campaign's going. What are you hearing? What are you experiencing as you go across the state of Illinois to talk to the citizens about this race that you're in?
Well, absolutely. One of the things that's been so interesting is as I travel the state and ask people, what is an issue that really matters to you? What are you looking for in your next United States Senator? They tell me, overwhelmingly, it does not come down to just one particular policy issue. I mean, there's things that people clearly are concerned about and we ultimately get there. But number one, above all else, is that they tell me I'm looking for someone who will go to the mat fighting for me. And I really do believe that all Illinoisans really deserve leaders who understand the urgency of this moment, the urgency of all of the issues that we talked about, over the last several minutes, and leaders who have the courage to stand up and fight back. Because right now, we need fighters. We don't need people just sort of waiting around to do the polite thing. And so I'm clear that I'm the right candidate for this job because I'm going to bring a new voice and new energy and new perspective to the United States Senate. I will always stand up for working families in Illinois, just like JB and I have done since day one of taking office. I mean, look what we've been able to do. We raised the minimum wage. We protected reproductive rights. We protected LGBTQ plus rights. We've made sure that we've created thousands of jobs all across our state, put Illinois on the path to a clean energy future. And in so many ways, Richard, that is the blueprint, the Illinois blueprint, because I believe Illinois has been leading the way on standing up for working families. We protected, the right to collectively bargain and passed the Workers' Rights Amendment. I mean, all of these things are under attack right now. And we need leaders who know how to deliver and who will not back down against the attacks of Donald Trump. And that's the leadership that I've demonstrated. I'm proud to be endorsed from leaders all across the state, including the governor, Senator Tammy Duckworth, Speaker Chris Welch, former Secretary of State Jesse White, Congressman Danny Davis, and former Congressman Bobby Rush, and just so many more across the state. So I'm ready to go to the mat fighting for you in the Senate, and looking forward to always listening to the people of Illinois and centering their needs.
I have always said that the collective energy of us is such a powerful thing that we have, and I think you've been a representative of that as our lieutenant governor. And I believe that you, like some of the other candidates, are going to take that energy to Washington One of the big things that is happening right now, Lieutenant Governor, and one of the big questions that's out there, so many farmers are being, and Illinois is a state that has a large farming industry, but so many farmers out there are being impacted by these executive orders, these tariffs, and just frankly the chaos that's coming specifically from the Trump. I don't even say from Washington. It's coming specifically from the Trump administration and more broadly from the GOP, the members of the Republican members of Congress. Big conversation. How are you trying to walk through and navigate this, and your plan at this point to help in that area?
Yes. Well, first of all, I think many of you may know that I started an initiative called Ag Connects Us All. And that was an initiative that I started early on in the administration as a new lieutenant governor, because I understood agriculture was our state's largest industry. There were many people who did not see a pathway into the industry. And it's important because we think about access to healthy, nutrient-dense food. And so I've always been someone that has partnered as somebody who has represented the entire state of Illinois and the only candidate in this race that has done so for the past 7 years. And I also chair the Governor's Rural Affairs Council. Here's what I know. The instability of leadership of this administration, the fact that people don't know from day to day what to expect. You mentioned the tariffs and the trade wars with our allies, by the way, many times, and to see people not having the predictability, they cannot plan. When you think about a farmer that has certain production and crops and have always been able to rely on who's going to buy that harvest, and now knowing that every day, because of these trade wars, they can't tell what they're going to do. We've certainly seen the instability with the soybean, farmers in particular, and what's happening. So we need stable, steady leadership. We don't have it right now in this country. We have a president who wakes up every day and decides, here's what I'm going to do, and he announces it via social media, instead of really providing the kind of steady, ongoing leadership that people deserve. I know that the governor recently just signed an executive order declaring an agricultural export crisis, and that because of the damaging effects of Trump's tariff and trade policies that are really hurting Illinois' agricultural sector. And so this is a way that state agencies now will be able to take immediate action to really kind of enhance domestic markets and make sure that we continue to invest in the mental health support for farm families, because you can imagine, look at what's happening under this environment. I do want to just say the one more thing, Richard. The cuts to SNAP and this the Trump administration's willingness to use SNAP benefits and the hunger of Americans as a bargaining chip is also going to have an impact on the entire food system. Whether you use SNAP benefits or not, grocery prices are going to continue going up. Farmers are going to be impacted. Food banks don't have enough. We've invested $20 million to support our food banks here in Illinois, but it's not enough. Yeah. And the fact that they are willing to use hunger as a bargaining chip, to me, is quite frankly immoral.
It's immoral. It's inhumane. It's all of those words that depict a regime that is not about what's so contradictory and hypocritical is making America great again. America's great already. Let's make America even better. But to make America great again in terms of the policies, or if you want to call it policies, has been one, which is the bill. But all the executive orders and all the other reckless behavior, that's not about making the country better. And in its entirety, it's making segments of it better. But at some point, this is where you realize, and I'm sure you guys talk about this, the stupidity and the idiocracy of this administration. Don't you realize from an economic standpoint that the more people that are participating in this process, the more people that are involved, that understand that good policy is good for all, the better for the wealthy. I mean, that's a simple economic. That's like economics 101 or 102 at its base. And
100%.
You know, and I know that you guys probably sit there and go, these idiots don't get this. And I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just using my language to depict some of the frustrations that you must go through in watching this, Lieutenant Governor.
Well, because it's not just, asked about farmers, but it's everyday Illinoisans. It is our business community. It is in every sector, instability. You know what I say sometimes, Richard? Don't you just want boring government again? Where you just kind of, you wake up, you don't have to open up your phone or your newspaper and say, what now? You just can keep doing what you do, going to work, taking care of your family, living life. And when you need government and need to tap in, you know that there are people who are there working for you. And that's why, on this race, that's what I talk about. I want to be that fighter, but I also know what we need to fight for and the kind of leadership that is needed in this moment. It's the kind of leadership I brought as a state representative. It's the kind of leadership I've brought as the lieutenant governor. And that same steady leadership, it's what's going to be important to bring some checks and balances to an administration that doesn't have any guardrails right now.
Not at all.
And by the way, even with this shutdown, it's not up to Democrats to solve this. We're trying to save people's health care. And Republicans are refusing to do that. And they're using hunger as a bargaining chip. In this United States of America, people should be able to put food on the table, and they should be able to have health care and to be able to go to the doctor when they need it. It's one of the reasons why I'm supporting Medicare for all. But what I can say is what we see here in this administration is they don't care. And if you can look yourself in the eye and say, it's okay that I have a president right now who doesn't want me to put food on the table nor have access to health care, think about what that means for us as a country.
Yeah, that's so well put, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you, as always, for being on the show. I know our listeners appreciate it and have a better lens into what you're dealing with and how you're going to navigate and continue this run, but also continue to do the work of the Lieutenant Governor's office. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, thanks again for being with us. I know you have got a lot on your plate, but we appreciate you slowing down a moment to chat with our listeners here and all over the rest of the country.
Well, Richard, this is one of my favorite shows to come on, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much for what you do to amplify the voices and the issues that matter to Illinoisans.
Thank you as well. We'll talk with you soon. We'll definitely hold you to that, but it'll be a joy to have you back on the show, Lieutenant Governor. Be safe today, and we'll talk with you soon.
You too.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye. There you go, guys. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton running for U.S. Senate and still holding it down, as she should, as Lieutenant Governor here in the state of Illinois. It was great having Franny Hong with us, running for governor in the state of Wisconsin, and State Senator Willie Preston, who's running for U.S. Congressional District number 2. Thanks, guys, for being with me today. Thanks for listening to the show. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Around the Town, Chicago, with Al Besloff.
Oh, that's Jan. Okay. That's Jan Chakowski is going to be calling it. So
from